A beautiful morning to you from Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. Welcome to Sunrise Daily, your daily dose of sunshine. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf.
And I'm Ayo Makine. Good morning and welcome. Well, today I'm going to tell you what the weather is in Lagos. 33 degrees it is, and with a humidity of 74%. And our wind is traveling at 16 kilometers per hour. But guess what? Today is the 18th day of February 2025. Yes. I said the same date, Maokwe, so you see, there's peace in Israel.
Well, I know that you are giving us a skyline this morning, Ayo. I don't know what you'll be counting down to again, because Valentine is since over. But hey,
well,
it's Ayo, and today of all days is wearing a red tie.
Well, Maokwe, this time around,
it's the season of love, and it's the whole of February for you.
This time around is not me. But, you know, there is a very rare, one of those rare ingenious stuff in Lagos. That is the first of its kind cable-stayed bridge in Lagos. And guess what? This is it. It's what we call the Lekki-Ikoyi Link Bridge, a cable-stayed bridge in Lagos, Nigeria, that connects the Lekki and Ikoyi districts. Well, there are those who consider it a modern landmark and a key traffic relief route. Designed by Julius Berger International, it is Nigeria's first cable-stayed bridge. I don't know if we've ever been able to have another one like it. Commissioned in 2013. Actually, the entire construction took about 4 years during the 2 terms of Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola as governor of Lagos State. And first of all, before we go anywhere else, Maokwe, what's your take on this? Very, very ingenious. And that design is actually peculiar because it has certain insignia of Lagos itself. And in the night, this bridge is quite a beauty.
Indeed, Ayo. I mean, having driven on the bridge, reading on the bridge, stayed on the bridge, and I understand that became like, you know, an exercise spot for many, you know, who just crisscross the bridge as many times as they want. But we also know that that bridge has also been the center of protests. And so it does. Nowadays, I think when I visit the bridge or when I do go across the bridge, you know, it's with mixed feelings. But I think it's still serving largely the functions that it is supposed to serve, which is shorten the travel time between Ikoyi and VI, and now many parts of the Lekki area. So yes, transportation is a lot easier, and it immediately gave Lagos another iconic monument to look forward to. So in many movies, rather than just see the 3 chiefs of Lagos welcoming you in, this became another sign to say this is Lagos, because we know that this bridge is unique to Lagos. And as you said, at night it does light up really beautifully well. I'm glad that it's still being maintained. I hope it's kept that way for many years. But looking at the prime area in which it is located between Lekki and also Ikoyi, I want to believe that it will be in that shape for many years to come.
And then, you know, there is more. I'm showing you, talking about iconic places. Lekki Ikoyi has an image, so does this place, Victoria Island in Lagos. And as you would know, Maokwe, Victoria Island, Lagos hosts many iconic places in Nigeria, in the city. Many embassies are registered, are located at the VI. Many headquarters of corporations are located here on Victoria Island, and several corporations of private sector corporations in Nigeria, they are located here in the city. Now, if you try to find out anything about Victoria Island, you will know that it's also the name, it's also the capital city of another, parts of the world. But this one is considered a wealthy area in Lagos, the main financial and business center of the city. And as I said earlier, it's home to headquarters of many of Nigeria's largest companies. I can't begin to name names now. Now, if you know this Anglican cathedral with a Norman Gothic style architecture, the Cathedral Church of Christ Marina, it's also, not too far from there. So this is Victoria Island, and there are those who would call it a concrete jungle, but hey, it is what it is, and it's called an island for good reason. You can see there is water all around it. Marpe, when was the last time you were on Victoria Island?
Not so long ago, Ayo. Not so long ago. I think it's the only time Ayo is not seeing a movie, because this is one scene that suddenly greets us in many Nollywood movies. So I'm sure for those who watch enough Nigerian movies, this scene or this area will suddenly be no stranger to them. But I'll also advise, if you haven't been, because we take it for granted, those who go to Lagos quite often, or those who live in Lagos or who have had experience in Lagos, we take it for granted a lot of people know Lagos. For some people, Lagos is still something, it's still a place in their imagination they still haven't visited. I would say to you, if you're one of those people, read up about it. Know about interesting places in Lagos, places you'd like to visit. VI should be one of them. Very soon on this program, we're starting to bring you more areas, because Lagos is not just about the city. You also have a number of towns in Lagos that are fast developing too, but also still have that rural appeal. It will surprise you to know. I know, because I'm from one of those places. So enough of Lagos. Well, maybe not yet, because Lagos is still going to be a part of our discussion this morning. A lot is happening in the politics of Lagos, and we'll be bringing it to you, trying to dissect what exactly has happened. I mean, Lagos, for all its cosmopolitan nature, you would have thought that by now, given its progressiveness, it would have been very progressive in politics, having for the very first time a female speaker. And it does appear that she's about to be ousted less than 3 weeks after she's taken office. What precisely is the politics about? Find out when we come back from this break. Please stay with us.
Begins with an unusual atmosphere, with a heavy security presence by men of the Nigeria Police on all access roads leading to the Lagos State House of Assembly complex. Observers say this may not be unconnected to the leadership crisis rocking the assembly, which led to the emergence of Right Honorable Mojisola Miranda after the impeachment of the former Speaker, Honorable Mudashiru Obasa. Perhaps in an attempt to stop the current Speaker from carrying out her duties, officers from the Department of State Services gained access into the Assembly complex and tried to stop lawmakers from carrying out their constitutional responsibilities, which created tension. Eventually, members gained entry into the Assembly complex and settled down to the day's business, but not before expressing their displeasure over the incident.
I'm calling on the director of DSS that they should please let us know what really happened that is men taking over the House of Assembly.
We have 26 members said here today that they have found their way by storm from into this house. But I want to move a motion as part of what Honorable Kenny said, that whatever happened today should be reported in history and answered.
I want to join my colleagues in calling on the DSS to address the invasion of this parliament.
There's on this note I want to ask that members Please, if you can affirm your vote of confidence in Madam Speaker, kindly raise up your hands, please. Can we please stand?
The Department of State Services says its officers stormed the Lagos State House of Assembly on the invitation of the acting clerk of the House.
Well, that was what transpired on the floor of the Lagos State House of Assembly yesterday, but it was a huge tussle, as you saw in that report, for members to be able to access the Lagos State House of Assembly. This was following the fact that DSS officials were said to have taken over. They said they were invited there. But then the Lagos State House of Assembly also retorted, saying it did not invite the DSS to shut the Speaker's office, shut the Deputy Speaker's office, and prevent them from getting access into their very own chambers. So precisely what exactly is going on? Well, maybe to help us make some sense of it is Mr. Babatunde Bank Anthony, who is the chieftain of the All Progressives Congress. You're welcome to Sunrise Early this morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. Good morning.
What exactly is going on? I mean, because initially when Mr. Obasa was removed as Speaker, and after serving for so long, we understand his members were unhappy and there were some internal politics, and the GAC, that's the highest advisory body within the party in Lagos State, you know, gave the word and gave the nod. He was taken out by his own colleagues. There was a proper removal process, as the case might be, even though he's contesting that now to say that, look, he was taken out during a recess, and that ought not to be. But we saw members of the House of Assembly convene and impeach him and put in a new speaker. Now we're beginning to see this uncertainty around her leadership, around her speakership. What exactly is going on?
Well, Mark, thank you for having me again. You have really addressed the fundamentals. The DSS were invited by the clerk. He confirmed that. So was the police as well. But getting there, the DSS had another motive entirely. They've been invited before. They are normally invited to the house for security of the house. Even the clerk that invited them, his office was shut down. Majority office leader was shut down, the speaker was shut down, and they took over the hollow chamber as well. You understand? And for a long while, the speaker was outside in the garden, in the house. So the attempt to now gain access became a problem. You understand me? And don't forget that this former speaker, Obasa, right, when he was traveling, it was to reconvene on the 18th of February, which is today. And the letter sent to DSS by the clerk, Taiwo Otun, was dated for today, not yesterday, not the day before yesterday. But we learned from reliable sources that the DSS has been there midnight of the 17th.
That's midnight of Sunday?
Of Sunday. You understand me? And you don't bring arms into the hollow chamber. And even there are DSS attached to the speaker. Right? They don't come into the chambers with any arm. So definitely a lot was amiss in that corridor. And we should not allow things like this to go unattended to by the highest. But, you know, I mean, people are looking at there's a masquerade somewhere. But I want to remind you of what led Daura to left office. Remember that time? DSS, same DSS, they went to the National Assembly, right, to harass the members. And it was like then, Buhari was not around at the moment. They thought it was from the presidency. At the end of the day, it wasn't from the presidency. Some people influenced that DSS operation. And promptly, Professor Shibajo, who was the VP, put an end to Daura's.
Yeah, was acting president.
That is it. So we need something to be done quickly against this kind of motive, this kind of action. You understand? Because
what exactly was the action trying to achieve? That's what I still find unclear. What exactly is the issue?
Funny enough, you know, even yesterday there was a rally by Obasa in Agege. You understand? I mean, Agege is very close to Ikeja. There are so many speculations behind the rally and behind the invasion as well, because the house was invaded. And it's like, you know, this lady, right? This lady, we should be grateful, we should be thankful now that after such a very long time, we now have we're having a female speaker in Lagos State, right? That we should embrace her, and she's towing the path of the house, of the citizens, and of our colleagues in every way. But
are there people who are unhappy with her emergence as speaker? I mean, apart from, Mr. Obasa, who clearly he will not be happy that he was taken away. But are there people within the party? Because from what we understand, this seemed like there was a general consensus within the APC, you know, maybe apart from the followers or the supporters of Mr. Obasa, that, it was time for him to go. And because if you look at the fact that all 36 members are backing her, they're supporting her, that support, it doesn't seem to be, it's not just their own support, it's also the support of their own backers as well. So precisely what exactly is the issue here? Why does it seem that she cannot preside in peace?
No, she's presiding. But the point is that, you see, like you said, there are some people behind Obasa, right? And I could tell you that there's a divided house among the GAC, which is a surprise to me. You understand me? Because let us put things on the table, let us slice it, let us dice it, let us flip it. All the members of that house are all directly, indirectly loyal to the president, who Lagos is his main hub. So if any leader, right, one has come out and spoke about a few weeks ago that, maybe he's not justified to the way it was removed, but it was removed in a very justified manner. So if any of those leaders feel, right, that the wrong thing was done, and to an extent, I believe and I remember very well, they met with these members of the House. And the members told them clearly, we're happy with our new speaker. And you can see what happened yesterday as well. They stood up, a vote of confidence, all of them stood up and said, Madam Speaker, carry on. And she was very emotional about the whole thing. She was in tears. So I really don't understand that, some people behind are trying so hard to change the narrative of the state. And it's not going to happen. Because some of us, we've always been there for democracy, we fought for it, we stood for it, we died for it, we cried for it. So it's not something we're going to sit back and let some people who, for this reason, I will say clearly, from him, Obasa said so many times that he's not running for governor. If you're not running for governor, then remember the House of Assembly. Carry on with your job.
So what is this news? Because some people are saying, it's possible that it's because the president was not aware. The GAC came to Abuja. They tried to see because as you said, there is no way we can divorce the president's relationship. Lagos is his home base.
That's right.
He's been there he's been godfather of Lagos politics for many years. So clearly, some people will say there is no way you can divorce the president's knowledge or lack of knowledge from what exactly is going on. We understand the GSC came to Abuja to, brief him on what was going on. They were unable to see him. It's unclear whether it was intentional or maybe it was unintentional, perhaps as a result of a lack of time. It's unclear. But from what we can see, are you able to deduce whether the president is happy with developments in the Lagos State House of Assembly?
You see, I will say one thing for a fact that I know. The day the GAC came, that was the same day the president was traveling to France. You understand me? The GAC came on an impromptu visit. And the president had his own schedule already to leave the country. So people could interpret that to be anything. But what I want to assure you is that the GSC has done their bit, right? And originally, right, the GSC is Governor Advisory Council. What they are doing here is now an extra job to make sure there's peace in the state. And the leader of the GSC is our revered leader, an elder statesman in Lagos, that is Paul Lucy. You understand me? And his position is clear, right, on this issue, right? They've done the right thing, they've spoken to the boys, and now they have shown the world again that yesterday was their second preliminary, that they're happy with the speaker. But the people who are benefiting from Obasa financially, right, are the people funding this kind of disaccord in the state. And the president, you see, I want to believe the president is too busy. If the boys or the ladies in the assembly took a decision on one of their peers whom they elected to be their leader, because there's nothing in the law that says the House has to do anything to replace the speaker. It's very clear. Although a few years ago, this same speaker smuggled in a standing order in the House rule that he believes he's the governor. That is his problem, that he should be notified if he wants to be removed as speaker. It's not in the Constitution. That does not apply. But that was what was smuggled into the standing rule, which before the replacement on that day was stepped aside by the House. You understand? So, I mean, for me, those people, Honorable Allegation said something. It was a whip in the 92 National Assembly, an SDP member, chairman of Obituary in Iran. That Obasa, you are too small to cause disaccord in Lagos State. You are not. You don't have what it takes. And those people encouraging you, if you come back as speaker today, who do you want to probably tell your speaker to? I mean, they have tried so many things. It's really overeating the polity that maybe by now, maybe we should call on Mr. President to probably call him to order. Because a lot is going on in the media that, oh, they're calling the speaker, she's parading herself as speaker. Very insulting. You understand me? We are not only insulting her, we are insulting the majority of Lagosians who voted for these people in the House of Assembly. So we need to look at this in a more serious manner. And I expect Nigerians to come to her. I expect the House of the National Assembly, both the Speaker and the Senate President, to address this invasion. It's a serious matter that we should ignore it, right? It could happen anywhere. And to all speakers in the state as well, right? They need to show a sense of solidarity around this woman. Because what she's going through, right, not by his own members, not by Lagosians, by some men hooded with guns, anything could have happened to her yesterday. I wonder her state of health now, because she was traumatic, she was crying. It was live on camera. So, I mean, I think this is high time we start looking at serious issues in this country. And the DSS guy, the director of DSS in Lagos, should be called by NSA to question him, or by whoever is responsible, whoever he reports to, because that is totally out of order. Totally out of order.
Let me quickly take this to Ayo now, because I know he's right there in Lagos, and he certainly will have a question for you. Ayo.
Well, thank you, Maupe. Well, Mr. Bankanthony, there are those who would point to the fact that Lagos has enjoyed political stability, so to speak, for a very long time, and that this is the first time it is getting this level of political unrest or dissonance. What would you say to that? Or is it that some of these rumblings have been happening on the ground and this is just a boil over?
Well, Ayo, good morning, and thanks for your question. You see, stability in Lagos, like you said the last time, it's a family affair. But beyond that, you see, when you now see one of those people, one of those beneficiaries of that stability, trying so hard to bring the roof down for his own personal ambition, personal progression, right? I mean, one has to look at that and take it very seriously. This cannot happen. This will not happen for your selfish reason. And this is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. It's not about Lagos not being united. Lagos is united politically. And now, we know, everybody knows that, in Lagos, the word of one man, who's now the president of Nigeria, goes. That is the truth. So let's kid ourselves about it. And the men and women in the assembly have spoken. There's no, the stability is there. Stability is there, I can assure you. But what we are seeing now is one man Rambo trying so hard to prove a point. And that point will stay with him. It will be history with him. It's not going to happen. The Gaussians will not let that happen. Right? There are other 39 members in that chamber who could be speaker. Right? He should forget it. He should forget it. It's not going to happen. But this will be.
Yeah. One of the allegations that we also hear is that perhaps because for one reason or the other, maybe this has subsisted until now because the president hasn't spoken. I remember, on the one hand, this is not the first time the Lagos Assembly is impeaching a speaker. On the other hand, there was a time that the president, who was then, just as he would say, an ordinary citizen in Lagos, they all stood against a particular governor in office at a point, and it was obvious who was on whose side the president was in each of these two cases. But this time, the president not speaking. There are those who are saying maybe the president actually, as a person and as political influencer in Lagos, has an interest in one of the parties and not the other. Consequently, the issues that are being raised now. How would you respond?
Well, you just responded. You are making it easy for me, Makinde, that, the president has not responded because it told you now. 26 years of democracy in Lagos, in Nigeria, right? Do you want to keep sucking your mother's breast at this age? Now. Let us leave this man alone. He has a bigger headache. They have taken a position, they have resolved. So all this drama, it's just a drama, to be sincere. They've taken a position, they've taken a decision. He has been parading himself, telling lies. When Kwedumi was removed, he was there. He wasn't there. When Tejoshi was removed, she was in America, she wasn't there. She's making references to what does not exist. That is the truth. So it's high time now. It's a clear time now that to go and sit down. If we could not come to the house, right, as a member, let him resign after 20 years in the assembly. Let him give somebody a chance from Agege to come and represent Agege people. That is the truth. We are going to talk about the issue of Lagos West, Lagos Central, Lagos East. Is not balanced. What's not balanced? Is Mojisola Miranda from Lagos Island with the governor, right? Is Apapa and Lagos Island, are they the same thing? You understand me? All these things they've been talking about, Lagos West people, members, it has been put to them. They said, no, we want Miranda to continue.
But I'm not sure you've answered my question, Mr. Bakantini. Do you?
Yes.
Will it make a difference? You said that the president is very busy, and rightly so. But there are those who would wonder, maybe just a statement or just a hoof, whatever it is, from the governor, from the president, beg your pardon, maybe that would put paid to all of this. Just everyone sheath your sword. Maybe that will put paid to all of this unrest. Do you think it is necessary?
Well, you see, the way it's going, right, with the now DSS getting involved in it, you see, there are hierarchies in government. You understand me? Don't let us say we are going to go to the president. You understand me? No. The point is that if at the end of the day, by the time he speaks, oh, this man is taking sides. But already the position is clear. The House has taken a decision among one of their own members. They elected somebody else to be speaker among them. And they reaffirmed it twice. in public in sitting. So whatever they are trying to do is trying to intimidate. And people are quiet, watching, peacefully doing the right thing. What will they throw after what has happened yesterday? Will they try to invade or bomb the House of Assembly or take the roof out of the Assembly? And I expect the governor as well to say something to this. He's the #1 man in Lagos State. He cannot ignore what has happened yesterday. He cannot ignore it because that is the parliament that he reports to. That is the parliament that makes the law for the state he's governing. So, I mean, Mr.
So silence is not golden.
It's not golden enough for him. I'm serious. We should not take this thing lightly. The governor should speak up about this issue to the right quarters. To the right quarters. That's very, very important.
Not addressing Lagosians?
He has to. He has to. He has to. Because, you see, the speaker cannot equate himself to governor of Lagos State. It's not possible.
Yeah, but from what we understand, and this is a quick wrap-up question now, from what we understand, the battle is because Speaker Miranda and the governor are from the same zone in Lagos, and that's what's causing a bit of a ruckus.
I just said it now, that governor is from Lagos Island, Miranda is from Apapa, and really, if you're talking about that, is a person really from Lagos State? Let's talk about it. Let's go there. Let us go there. Is he really a Lagosian? He's a Lagosian. Is he an indigene of Lagos State? And the very speaker from Lagos West? Lagos West is a very indigenous area. They are Ojo, they are Badagry, everybody are in Lagos West. And they've chosen you up and above the region of Lagos State. And you are telling us now, oh, you are parading yourself in borrowed robes. Let us be clear about that. If he's talking Lagos West has a lot of indigenous in Lagos West. Is he Ojo, is he Badagry you are talking about?
The House has now finally adjourned Synodine.
That's right.
How do you think that this is going to end up playing out?
Well, you know, we know who the speaker is. We know who the prison officers are. And we know who the clerk is. You understand me? If anything is going to happen, the speaker of the House today will recall our members back to the House. And the House functions will continue. That is the position I see. Nobody will call back the House except the speaker. That is it.
All right, so we have to thank you very much for your intervention on this particular issue. I believe that this is a developing story. No one knew it was going to go on for this long, but this is the situation we have in Lagos State. The House of Assembly has been adjourned Synodine. It's unclear when they're going to reconvene, but clearly all is not well with the politics within the APC and apparatus by extension, apparatus of government. We have to thank you so much, Mr. Bank Anthony, for coming on the program this morning. We'll certainly keep our viewers updated with developments around Lagos politics. But that's where we ended for the segment. Do stay with us. We'll be right back with another topic, talking about something that's also still of national importance. Please stay with us. Well, indeed, we are looking at another topic now, and indeed, the controversy raging around uncertainties or the operations of USAID and, what manner of aid it has really been given in some places, still continues to come to light. This morning, we're also delving into this issue with Reverend Laddie Thompson, who has been sounding a note of warning, especially on the crisis we've been facing in the Northeast region for some time now. But for those who might have missed it, let's listen to what U.S. Representative Scott Perry did have to say about it.
We spent $697 million of the taxpayers' dollars in Afghanistan, including $534,719,000 in change from USAID in Afghanistan. I don't know what we think we're going to change in Afghanistan. We lost 22,000, lost or wounded 22,500 Americans in Afghanistan over the course of our term there in the war, spending over $2 trillion. We're just going to keep on spending because somehow we think it's going to get better. And if you're wondering who's in charge of Afghanistan getting the money, and that money I just mentioned, the $697 million is on top of, and is in addition to the weekly to every 10-day shipments in cash of $40 to $80 million. Afghanistan is ruled by folks named Sarayuddin Haqqani. Haqqani network mean anything to anybody in the room? How about Abdullah bin Laden, who gets some of that money? Does that name ring a bell to anybody in the room? Because your money, $697 million annually, plus the shipments of cash funds madrasas, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, ISIS Khorasan, terrorist training camps. That's what it's funding. If you think that the program under Operation Enduring Sentinel, entitled Women's Scholarship Endowment, which receives $60 million annually, or the Young Women Lead, which gets about $5 million annually, is going to women who, by the way, if you read the Inspector General's report, is telling you that the Taliban does not allow women to speak in public.
Well, you listen to some of those allegations there during a hearing by the U.S. Congress. But just before we delve into that matter, there's some breaking news coming in now. And this time around, it's an obituary announcing the passing of PANDEF leader Edwin Clark at the age of 97. He's said to have died on Monday, the 17th of February this year. So this was announced just by the family this morning. It's coming in as the breaking news that we have. We understand that the family says that they will announce other details as time goes on, but they will appreciate the prayers of the country at this time. Just, to inform our viewers again, the death has been announced of late Pa Edwin Clark, PANDEF leader and a major South-South leader of the Niger Delta region. Well, we're going to go into our discussion now, and joining us to discuss what exactly is going on. The USAID was also used to funnel funds to terrorism. We have with us this morning Reverend Laddie Thompson, who joins us virtually all the way from the United States. Reverend, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for your patience with us this morning. But this is what Nigerians have woken up to. They've been dealing with this information since last week, trying to process precisely what is going on since the, the word that has been used now is the chaos that has greeted what is happening in the United States with, with the Doge department, Doge now, yes, trying to see what exactly, trying to make government more efficient. It's unclear just how that is going to work. But this is what we are now being told. This is some of the revelations that have been unearthed around the USAID. I don't know what you make of it. Some people have said we should discard this information by Representative Scott Perry, that he's always peddling, conspiracy theories. But others say there is no smoke without fire. We should take a closer look at what he's saying. Where do you stand on this?
Thank you very much, Malcolm. It's a pleasure to see you. Are you looking younger or something? Now, let's look at this issue of the USAID. And let's go at it from this perspective that change is a constant in life. But there are always different reactions to change. Some people resist change. Some ignore it. Some people embrace it. But the best of all are the people who learn how to engineer change. I think we need to pay attention in Nigeria to what's going on. It's not irrelevant to us. First of all, let us come and take a good look at the USAID itself. What is USAID? It's United States Agency for International Development. Now, it was set up in 1961. Now, let nobody deceive themselves. When America set up the USAID, they really were not intending to go around the world developing nations of the world for them. Like nobody ever has a Ministry of Offense. Every country has a Ministry of Defense or Department of Defense. Now, the purpose of that entity was actually to promote American interests all over the world. Unfortunately, if we look at after the Second World War, the Cold War era, post-Cold War, a lot of things have been happening. And this agency, because of its independence, which it won, I think, in 1998, because initially it was codified by Congress, but when it obtained its quote liberty, it began to do strange things across the world. So there are two ways we need to look at this thing. The Nigerian response, which should be the African response, actually. Then let us look at what's going on within America and why Americans, trust me, the scrapping of USAID and all the things that you see going on has a lot of popular support within the American society. Now, from the African perspective, it will be the perspective of beggar nations who know that American dollars will always make a difference in a nation where poverty has been weaponized. So the truth told is this. You were so right when you started out by mentioning DOGE, D-O-G-E. That's the Department for Government Efficiency. Now, what we're looking at is the future. And if we ignore it, we will regret it. What you are looking at is change. The American government is going to be changing the way governance is done. Democratic governance is being done. And as it changes, the ripple effect is going to go around the world. Look, what USAID had become, with its budget of, I think, about $40 billion, it had become an agency of true corruption across the world. And the network of corruption is wide. I served, for example, let me put some perspective to this thing from the Nigerian perspective, from the Nigerian angle. I served as special advisor to 4 generations of CAN presidents. I recall very well that before we went for the congressional hearing in 2012 in Washington, we had received a lot of complaints, especially from Plateau State and from Benue, about some funding that was meant to be for northern Nigeria. And this funding was supposed to be coming, this was from America, it was American funds. It was meant to be for education and some other things, okay? Climate change, I think education mainly then. But they had noticed that Plateau State was somehow ignored, Benue was ignored, and a whole lot of the so-called funding was meant to be going to fund madrasas. Now, interestingly, they began to observe that some of this funding, now these are the things, this is the chatter from within the Christian community that was watching what was going on in Nigeria at that time. So they made a lot of complaints to us about that there's a funding coming on. And I remember very well there was a figure that was being quoted then, that about $600 million was supposed to be coming in, and it will end up with the Boko Haram. Now, let me just say this quickly for Nigerians to clarify something. If you want to understand the American position on international issues, you want to know that there are 2 Americas. The 2 Americas, well, the 2 Americas, they call one the real America and then the other America. The other America has, Dr. King spoke about it. It's the America that tries to subvert what the real America stands for. It's a real America. You will find out that the US aid had become a tool for spreading strange things across the world. You'll find out that in India, where they asked for how many million did they spend in India? For what? A transgender clinic. Excuse me. How is that a priority for India? Transgender clinics. If you look at the case of Nigeria as well, you'll see that, yes, US aid on the surface helps us to at least fill some gaps in our healthcare system. But the challenge is this. This thing is one of the things that is used to keep us beggarly. These are devices. This was a policy. I mean, somebody was talking about the U.S. policy towards Nigeria and African nations. The truth is still today, U.S. has no policy towards Africa. We are not that significant in the scheme of things in Washington. Now, I think what Nigeria ought to do right now is this. We need to take advantage of the fact that the new man at the helm of affairs in America is very transactional. He's a deal maker. He really is not a politician. And that's why he comes and takes a hard look at everything and wonders why are we spending this amount of money in Afghanistan? Even if you listen to what's going on in Gaza and what his own proposals are, you are dealing with a very pragmatic person. What am I trying to point out to you? The network of corruption around the entire world. Nigeria is a simultaneous equation. Nobody should blame us for the degree of corruption in Nigeria alone. We'll take part of the blame. But also, we now see that there's also a foreign, potency or a foreign portent to the corruption in Nigeria. Look, Nigeria is a great nation. Western region, remember, we had a television station ahead of Germany and France. The potential for greatness is in Nigeria. But there's been a lot of foreign intervention, proxy wars that are being fought on African soil. And if anything, we should rejoice right now as to what is going on in America, if you ask me. I think we need to be very happy about it, and we need to capitalize on it, even though the policy is America first, so-called. But let me tell you the truth. What defines America? They're going back to the foundation of the founding fathers. The founding fathers of America were of the opinion that no government should leave debts for the children or the next generations to pay. These are sound policies. And I'm telling you that right now in America, people are tired of the excesses. Look at what he did when he first came in. The gender confusion, where you have about 30-something classifications of he came in with his executive powers and began to write some of those things. So what we are seeing is two things. Well,
my sincere apologies. If you can hear me, Reverend Thompson, the allegation, I think that's the one that's really getting to many Nigerians, is that a USAID, for instance, is funding terrorist activities in different parts of the world, including Boko Haram in Nigeria. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, the Chief of Defense Staff in Nigeria has spoken quite a number of times about the fact that there is only as much that the military can do. Now, this information, I'm just wondering, because even the former president, Buhari, was also speaking along such lines. The question that I'm asking is, we definitely welcomed, let me use it that way, the USAID and such other initiatives into the country. Were we unaware of this information, or were we too timid to admit and consequently take them on?
Anybody who claims that we were unaware is being untruthful. Now, there's a saying in the Southwest that if a wall doesn't have any cracks in it, the lizards will not come into it. Let us not attempt to shift blame and responsibilities. Osama bin Laden was in Sudan from 1991, I think, to 1996, where he started perfecting the template of what we call global terrorism or local terrorism, the local face of a global entity. A lot of Nigerians visited him there. So what you saw that began to unfold, I was in Riyadh in 2001. All these things had started, the trickles of blood. We watched it in the fields. We watched the trickles turn into torrents. So already there was a global resurgence of terrorism, religious extremism, documented. Global. Even the United States of America, 9/11, you remember what happened to them. Now, this is what now transpired. When they saw what was happening, they began to look out for American interests. Now, the dodgy thing about this is that some of the administrations began to think, how do we protect America and deflect these wars to other nations? In fact, that was what led to what they call the pacification of terrorists with territories. Even Nigeria was on the block, if you don't realize it. And I will tell you one thing that we need to thank God for certain Nigerians, because when we heard about these things, and it was chatter, like I said, nobody's going to come and bring you a check and show you. We went to Washington for a congressional hearing. I think Chairman Smith was the one Chris Smith was the one who chaired that congressional hearing. And we asked for three things. The first thing we asked for, I can remember that the State Department fought it to a standstill. The Secretary of State in particular, at that time serving, fought it to a standstill. We asked for the FTR, the Foreign Terrorist, FTO, the Foreign Terrorist Organization designation under Boko Haram. You would not believe what we heard at that political hearing. If not that we too had our facts and figures and were able to make a sound presentation. Now, why did we ask for that? Because we realized that by American policy, the moment the Boko Haram is declared to be an FTO, a foreign terrorist organization, American funding must not be found to find its way to them. And because America has a system of checks and balances, it will still be exposed. So what am I trying to point out to you is this. A certain administration in a dispensation in American government decided that the best way to protect American interests was to deflect the war to other nations of the world, to make friends with the people who the people who were responsible for 9/11 and the template that was created. And what they now did was that they used that in the hope that they will protect America. I don't know what kind of thinking that was, but they used that to destabilize other countries. Now, there's something you need to go and investigate that I think that was Benghazi helped us in Nigeria. When we left Washington, a powerful delegation ran to Nigeria to persuade our then president to deny all the work we had done in Washington, to ignore it and reject the FTO. Second, we also asked for something. We said American policy, the American dollars were being used to promote terrorism. And for me, the presentation we made then was very simple. They were pursuing a policy of religious dialogue. We were saying to them, you are talking about two voices, but there are three voices on the table. There's the voices of Christians, there's the voice of Muslims, and then there's a silent voice of terrorists. So at the end of the day, all this money you're using, you're making it look as if something is being done, whereas nothing is being done. You're just providing more cover.
So if we knew this, my apologies, if we knew all of these over the years, and just as you said, what have success, within what year and what year are we talking about here? And then what have been our foreign policy directive to, we're completely out of time, we just have just about 2 minutes. What should have been our position, and why does it look like we have been shying away from this reality? Is it out of timidity, out of ignorance? What exactly do you think has been going on, and what would you propose we do now?
Okay, quickly, let's look at that. Nigeria has a systemic problem. There's nothing wrong with Nigerians. We have a systemic problem. And I think the best way we can capture this is to look at what Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa said in 1960. I think it was 8th of October at the United Nations General Assembly. He said there was all this bloodshed was going to come. All this strife, he looked at the makeup of Nigeria, looked at the global balance. Nigeria was professing non-alignment at that time. But I'm telling you, he foresaw all this and he made a statement. He said his own name will have been long forgotten. Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. He said by the time people have forgotten his name and all these troubles start, Nigeria is going to be ready and the nations of the world are ready for peace. We should go and use what they call eternal truths to sort ourselves out. What are three eternal truths? Let's just sort out Nigeria quickly. Number one, stop hoping that two parallel lines will ever meet. Two, stop hoping that a compromised foundation can sustain a building structure that is successful. Number three, stop hoping that lies after 1,000 years will become a truth. It will not happen. It will never happen. So the point is this, is that Nigeria needs to look inwards. The shambolic, look, the discussion you had before I came on, the shambolic democracy that Nigeria has is more like a rehash of the Oyo Empire. This is not really a democratic republic. And all we need to do is to exercise ourselves, make these foundational corrections, and Nigeria will shoot to become the foremost nation of the world. Enough of all this. We don't need all this toxic hell, all this aid, all these things. There's a systemic problem. We correct that and we will be one of the foremost nations of the world in record.
Well, I think it's a fine place to leave it. We have to thank you very much for your intervention this morning, Reverend Ladi Thompson. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Pleasure is always mine.
Well, we see your feedback. Festus Akimboyewa, you say the ugly invasion of the Lagos House of Assembly by armed security officers is horrific and a slap on the face of democracy. It should be denounced by Lagosians in particular and Nigerians in general because it is an embarrassment for our country. Time for our politicians to grow up. Well, that's where we leave the program this beautiful Tuesday morning. Thank you so much for being a part of it. I'm Maupe Ogun Yusuf.
And I'm Ayo Makine. Have a productive day. Business Morning is next.